Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. We'll get started here shortly. We're just going to let some people in. Welcome, everyone. Happy Food Waste Prevention Week. Just letting a few folks in, and then we'll get started promptly here. But welcome. Thanks for joining. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and happy Food Waste Prevention Week. We'll get started in just 1 minute. Going to let a few other folks join in. So take a quick break if needed ahead of the webinar, but thanks again for joining, and we'll get started shortly. Alrighty, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining our webinar today on upcycling. We're really excited to have Elizabeth Romo-Rabago joining us this afternoon, and also kicking us off at the end of the week for Food Waste Prevention Week that happens April 1st through 7th. This year, it's April 1st through 7th, and I think it's the first year that it's been nationally established as Food Waste Prevention Week, and it will continue to be this week for years to come.
Okay.
And so my name is Mary Jane Chandler, and I am joined today by Elizabeth Romo-Rabago, and I can pass it over to you to introduce yourself really quickly.
Yeah, lovely. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Elizabeth from Ciclomanias, and I will be pleased to walk you through some upcycling tips today. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. So I'm just going to provide some quick background context into Food Waste Prevention Week. You can find more information on the Food Waste Prevention Week.com site, but it is a national week-long event where webinars, events, ideas, activities are all put together around the country. Any state can participate in it, any individual, any business can partake, and the multiple opportunities that are all geared towards reducing and preventing food waste. So it's a really exciting initiative, and I encourage you to learn more, watch past recordings of webinars, or even attend upcoming ones. Elizabeth actually had the opportunity to participate and lead the Verma Composta, Verma composting webinar yesterday that was held in Spanish. This recording will be made available on the Food Waste Prevention Week YouTube channel, as well as a few other ones that we have led through the K-12 Student Engagement Committee, including How to Lead a Food Waste Audit 101, learning about the Center for Environmental Conservation, about their Food Matters Action Kit, as well as the Food Waste Warriors program. In addition, we've also had bringing food waste into the English language arts classroom. So if any of these spark your interest, I encourage you to check out Food Waste Prevention Week, their YouTube channel, for more information and to catch up on these past webinars. At the same time, if you're interested in learning more about the week overall and would like to become a future partner, you can find more information about this on the website, foodwastepreventionweek.com. So with that, today we're very, very excited to wrap up the K-12 student engagement webinars with a wonderful and growing field in the food waste and waste space overall called upcycling. I will leave it to Elizabeth to explain in more detail, but this webinar today is geared towards transforming waste into art and turning trash into treasure. Again, we are joined by Elizabeth Romo from Ciclomanias, and with that, I will pass it over to you, Elizabeth, to share more.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Mary Jane.
Oh, and just a quick note, the chat box should be enabled. If you have any questions throughout or any comments, please feel free to utilize that function, as well as the Q&A if you'd like. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, a pleasure to be part of the Food Waste Prevention Week and engaging with change makers like yourself. Thank you so much, Mary Jane, for the introduction and also for being a super wonderful food waste warrior and colleague through all this time organizing this event. So I'm happy to share with you some of the upcycling activities we do at the schools here in Canada. After conducting a waste audit and finding out that there are many food packages which could be transformed into pieces of utilitarian art and in a fun and enjoyable way. So for today's webinar, I would like to cover a few topics and concepts that we thought will be relevant to reflect and to talk about. I will provide a brief intro about ourselves at Ciclomanias, what we do, and perhaps how can we support each other in our zero waste journey, particularly on food waste prevention, some concepts about waste in our world and how can we protect our beautiful planet Earth, what is upcycling, and our unique art and painting technique that we have been using in almost in the last 15 years. How to upcycle a tin can using materials you already have at home or at the classroom, and any questions you may have as well, and comments and ideas are always welcome to hear. And Mary Jane will let me know if there is any comment on the chat as well happening. Okay, so at Ciclomanias, we love to rethink waste and see waste as an opportunity to be creative and offer environmental education workshops like the one that today we're gonna facilitating, producing art using unwanted material like a tin can. And we also conduct waste audits at the schools or for companies. We also do soil microbiology assessments as well. So we do a little bit of everything as a consulting company. And and we work particularly in Canada, although we started in Mexico. And I'm biologist by training and environmentalist at heart. So I love working and collaborating with local and international organizations like Mary Jane's organization from the World Wildlife Fund, and also the Commission for Environmental Cooperation that also Mary Jane mentioned yesterday. We were facilitating a vermicomposting workshop, how to start working and teaming up with the worms to help us decompose organic material. And also doing a lot of upcycling projects, working with the schools, looking at what actually ends up in their landfill and how can we prevent that to happen, and how can we use a lot of those materials, like I was talking with Mary Jane before the webinar started, like a lot of wrapping, packaging, and creating art installation out of that. That's also a great idea for a good reminder for the students and everyone in the community that those small packages that you may think it won't damage much, it actually cannot even be recycled, right? And if we can just rethink waste in that sense, is just a great way to value resources that surrounds us, that we take it for granted. So our products are eco-friendly because they are made of existing and unwanted materials, and no pristine and natural resources are used, so they can last longer. For example, the aluminum cans can usually end up in the recycling bin, or the tin cans that actually don't have a monetary value, like we have here the bottle depots, where we take all our aluminum and our plastic bottles that they give us like 25 cents per bottle, less than 1 liter. But the tin cans that usually are with other materials. It's not just aluminum, metals, and also plastics. So those don't have, unfortunately, add monetary value. So what else to do, right? Besides just kind of recycling. And we know that recycling also can be very cost, not just for in terms of economy, but also for the environment. So looking at art always as a way, I love the word that Marianne also used on building that muscle, making that, creating that environment in where it's more friendly through art. It has been always a great icebreaker for engaging with, particularly with little ones, with the students, and also adults that love working with art as a means to talk about these topics that sometimes can be very overwhelming. So we love upcycling, and we upcycle not just recycled materials or unwanted materials, but we also do upcycle food scraps, as you can see on the right um, diagram that we have here. We do vermicompost, and we transform that for to grow, to use it as a soil amendment to grow all the healthy vegetables that we can then enjoy and then close the loop. So it's just following the laws of nature, and it's just so circular, so beautiful, and so different of what, unfortunately, our current linear economy is. So in nature, if you think about waste, actually there is no such a concept of waste, because everything is connected to everything else and nothing gets wasted. By the contrary, it provides life to other animals, microorganisms, and plants, and of course ourselves. The illustration captures how in nature there is not a concept of waste, but there is just a wonderful, efficient way of use resources. Did you know, for example, that the water that we use, that surrounds us, that give us life, is the same water that the dinosaurs used to drink? It's not just amazing how Mother Earth keeps recycling those natural resources that keep us alive? And how can we as humans, as society, can learn from these, from our best teacher, which is Mother Earth, nature? So resources are kept in the system instead of wasted. So much to learn from nature on how we can build sustainable communities more closer to what the natural laws governs us. Everything is connected to everything else. And sometimes we tend to forget that. But even if we forget that, that doesn't mean we're not part of the system and that we are all connected. It reflects the systems of the elaborated network of interconnections in the ecosphere among different living organisms and between populations, species, and individual organisms and their physicochemical surroundings. When I show this picture to the kids and I said, can you please tell me where is waste here? You're going to start saying, well, the poop of the animals. Yeah, but the poop actually is good. We are talking about vermicompost. What is vermicompost if it's not the worm's poop? We call it in an elegant and a more friendly way castings, worm castings, but it's actually poop. The poop goes integrated beautifully into the soil, and that soil is going to provide beautiful trees, shrubs, edibles that are going to feed ourselves. Did you know, for example, that to get the nutritional value that one apple provided to our grandparents, we need to eat now 6 apples? That tells you that the soil is almost sterile. We're not feeding the soil. If we're not keeping those circular systems that nature has been kept for almost 3.5 billion years, what are we eating really, right? And at the end of the day, we are what we eat, right? And this week has been also making us reflect on that and how important it is actually to keep those circular systems continue as have been from the beginning of the life on Earth. So we live in a society that we extract disrespectfully in most of the times. We take nature for granted. We treat our system as an infinite system. We take those natural resources and then we make everything that surrounds us, what we are wearing, what we are connected, what And what we use sometimes just 5 minutes, like single-use plastics, and then we just discharge. That's definitely a system that even a kindergarten kid understands that that's not the way nature operates and what we should be doing as an adults in a society that just keeps discharging and producing new stuff so you can get the newest and the latest. But why, right? So just starting with that critical thinking also in the schools is so important. And and um, and well, fortunately, there is a lot of people like yourself that care about all this system and question this system and start thinking, well, what other things can we do, right, to prevent that? How can we make it more circular, following the nature's laws? If we add to this linear economy all the waste that is generated along the way to produce, for example, a tin can, is just the tip of what we call the iceberg. So the wasteberg refers to the amount of waste is generated upstream, what we don't see, the invisible waste. I mean, by upstream, the extraction of natural resources, transportation, refinery, processing, distribution, all the steps that happens before actually gets into the store, into our hands. And many of us zero waste lifestyles focus on direct waste. So what actually we have? These materials that we interact daily. As it turns out, though, these direct materials are just tip of the iceberg. An iceberg is a large piece of fresh water, as we all know, of ice that has broken off a glacier or an ice shelf and is floating freely in an open water. But actually what we see is just a small sample of what it actually looked like. So a iceberg, the estimated, for example, 7 pounds or 31 kilograms of waste created upstream on mining, manufacturing, packaging for every pound of stuff we discard. So the ratio is 1 to 71 pounds. So that refers to what actually, if we end up having a tin can that weighs, I don't know, 1 kilogram, let's estimate that for an easier calculation. That means that 71 kilograms upstream are wasted along the process just to produce that tin can. And that's so powerful when we start thinking about that, not to overwhelm ourselves on how dysfunctional is the linear system in where we live, but how can we be more aware of when we are going to the store, where we actually give our actual vote, what we support, what kind of systems are we supporting? Systems are companies that are caring for what they are actually producing, or companies that are giving so cheap because we don't see those invisible costs, environmental costs, but also the social costs, right? We know that there is also a lot of child labor happening behind a lot of cheap products that we get, right? So therefore, it's so important before buying anything, we know from where these products are coming from, what are they made of, and how can we dispose them at the end of their lifespan. It's something that maybe for us as an adults, all generations, oh, we don't care about all these things. But you know what? New generations are so aware about all these things. They're starting to question the system, and they know that the system is completely unsustainable and is not looking after the next generations, the next 7 generations, and not even our generation. So it's so important that the new generations are so aware about this and are questioning the system, and they are so empowered to do things about it, to be those change makers. So the good news is that there are so many ways we can prevent this waste by applying, for example, the 7 R's. They keep adding new R's, and it's wonderful. Add all the R's you can, right? So we can continue keeping somehow those materials into the system, into those circular economies that we keep talking about that are so important because follows the nature law. And for example, today we will reuse tin cans and in a creative way. We will transform them and we will extend their lifespan of these materials. And I don't know if you're familiar also with the hierarchy of needs coined by Sarah Lazarovic, The hierarchy of needs is a fun way to represent a sustainable consumption. This helpful graphic presents consumers with several different alternatives to buying new clothes, for example, providing a guide for those who don't know where to start. Lowest priority, buying. We want to prevent buying things. Think twice before you even buy anything. Some items are hard to buy secondhand, for example, electronics, appliances. When you do buy new items, try to purchase ethical and sustainable products whenever possible. Spend a little bit of time reading the labels. Those labels are so important to read. They are, for a reason, they are there. The second priority, make. Don't want to buy it, try make it yourself. This level may be low on the buyer hierarchy due to the need for purchasing a whole pile of supplies depending on your project. Consider using secondhand supplies like fabric craft supplies that you have, as today we'll be using things that you have at home to greatly reduce your impact, as we do today with the tin can. The third priority is thrift. Thrifting promotes a circular economy, supports your community, and keeps textile waste out of landfills. You can find pretty much anything at a thrift store if you're patient. This removes the need to buy new. And fourth and fifth priority, swap and borrow. Consider swapping items with friends or family or participating in local clothing swaps. This can reduce the amount of items you need, especially if it's not an item you only use occasionally and could share with others, like during Halloween times, right? And well, with all this, Elizabeth, what is upcycling? Well, upcycling is also called creative reuse. It's the process of transforming unwanted materials, byproducts, waste materials into new materials or products of better quality and environmental value that is going to extend the lifespan of a simple tin can, a bottle, even textiles that can be transformed into something else that will extend their lifespan of those materials. And so I don't know if you are if you would like to share also in the chat if you are familiar with upcycling, what have you upcycled in the past? It'll be nice to know a little bit if there is anyone that would like to share. And I will be also happy to share with you the technique we use at Ciclomanias. Do we have any comment, Mariam? Would you like to comment as well? Do we have someone in the chat?
Sure, that was I was commenting as well that I'm new to creative art upcycling, so excited for this one.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Thank you for sharing that. Well, the technique we use is called ludoplastia, which comes from the word ludos, the Greek word ludos, play, and plaste, shapes. Because all the products that we make, and I invite you to look at our website, ciclomanias.com, where you will find all the products are inspired on nature and in a geometric shape. So everything is following also the nature patterns. It's just like when you see and observe in detail, for example, a sunflower, right? Like it's just so beautiful how those fractals, those continue shapes form around. So we play with cardboard. Cardboard is pretty much the first material that we work with because we layer up and we make that effect of 3D effect. And it's also easier for us to play with the shades and with the dark. Have been doing this for almost 20 years and I cannot get enough of upcycling. I just see everything as an opportunity to be creative and engage and doing a lot of stuff and rethinking twice or three or 1,000 times before even buying new materials. There's so many things, right? And so many occasions that we have opportunities to give to others as well. And what a better way to give and share than something that you made, right? So here is a little bit of the process. And this video is like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, but I'm just gonna go fast and explain a little bit. I'm not gonna put the audio, I'm just gonna explain what the process is. So we get and collect cardboard boxes from all over. We have a huge community now here. Our neighbors give us cardboard boxes, tubes, everything. And we just start cleaning that material. We just remove all the labels. We just want the pure cardboard. We cut all those pieces, we separate those, and we have all nice pieces. And where we start just using templates, whatever template you would like to. Flowers, like today we're gonna be doing flowers, and also ocean, like a lot of templates from, but for example, this flower, so you just have a flower, star, and then what I do is just start cutting all of that. And then here, I just do a little bit of a cut in between. Just gonna let it play there. And I just do a little curve, and that helps to give the 3D that I was talking about. You see, just with that simple cut, you get that nice shape. And if you put a circle in between, also it makes a bigger shape, make it look thicker, like a real flower. And you can do many shapes, and also make sure that the cardboard is not too thick, so it's easier for you to cut with just a cutter or a knife or scissors. And we can keep just cutting all of this material. I also have a lot of templates online, and I also have the DIYs as well, but just pretty much sky is the limit. So any shape you would like to do. And then what I do when we glue this in well, the cardboard also, I just kind of use a sandpaper to just remove any and make it more geometric as well, and remove any dust or any cardboard left, and make a very pronounced curve. In this case, it's a moon, half moon. So I wanted to make sure that it's completely sharp and nicely. So then by doing that, you're actually molding the cardboard. And that's very relevant when you are wanted to glue that piece of cardboard in a tube like this. So the tube, then you just fold the whole material around, and then you just glue like that. You can put a rubber band around, or I will also give you some other tips about using maybe just a simple wire tire and put it all around. And then you just color that with acrylic paints. And I will go in detail about what kind of materials I use and how I do it. But I just wanted to share with you a little bit of the whole process. So here are some ideas of the themes you can use for tin cans. For today, I have the ocean theme and the floral theme. First thing is to draw and cut the designs you want for your tin can, as I explained before in the video. I usually use 10 different shapes for each pen holder and cylinder. That could be a simple tin can or a corrugated cardboard tube if you have a cardboard tube as well. The size is up to you depending on what you want to use it. Tin cans can be also used for nice, makes also a very nice flower pot. So you can just paint it, and I also put a magnet, also it's made of cardboard. So very simple, can be very simple like this, or you can put all the cardboard around the tin can. And then I arrange the pieces in a board similar than putting together a puzzle, so you get familiar with the different shapes. Besides the cardboard pieces of your choice, you will need these materials that I am sure you have at home: just glue, regular glue, white glue, a piece of cardboard, and twist tie. So these twist ties that, sometimes the Spanish has that little tie. So I collect all these things, and I'm gonna be using also, because it's gonna help us to hold the cardboard around the tin can. Just jumbo and small brushes for different details. The big one is just to paint the background of the tin can, and then the details with the small ones. And just acrylic regular paints, actually. And I use also just the primary colors, because using the primary colors, you can get pretty much any color. So you don't need to keep buying more colors, so specific colors. Also, well, the process, simple steps to decorate your cylinder with the pieces you receive or that you have cut. Then you need to just glue if you want to add an extra layer, like this fish has just an extra layer, or you can just keep it simple like this. Or as I was saying, the flowers, you can put just add a circle. So it gives a little bit more like a thickness. And simple steps to decorate your cylinder with the pieces you have. So bend the pieces is very important because to get the shape of that cylinder or that tin can as well before you actually glue it. So make sure you bend everything. And then paint your cylinder with black or white solid colors. I usually use these solid colors because it allows you to just get from dark colors to even white, or the contrary also applies. Like if you start with white, usually it's because you're not going to use too much dark tones. So it's more like a just lighter colors. But if you want to get a little bit darker colors, so I recommend to start with the black. And or a darker color, for example, if you're into the blue tones, just start with a dark blue or blue violet as well. So the darker, it helps to get to this contrast that will help with giving that depth in the material as well. The color wheel, for those that don't remember, decide the color you want to paint, both the cylinder and the small pieces. I color the cylinder first and then the pieces separate. You can do it, paint the cylinder, then glue the pieces and then try to paint it, but then it will kind of get the paint all around. So it's better to just paint it separate. And then I use the palette, a cardboard palette, because the worst enemy of cardboard is water. We don't want to use a lot of water, so I use pretty much the paint, from the bottle and not mix it with water. And before I actually start painting, I mix it in this palette of cardboard because we'll absorb the excess of water. So that is why I recommend to have a piece of cardboard to just do your mixes of colors before you actually start coloring. And then, so the flowers were, in this case, were painted per separate, as shown in the slide, and the ocean theme pen holder was painted directly in the cylinder. So as two different ways to do it. I prefer the one that is just separate. Paint first the different shapes that you're going to use for your tin can, and then the tin can as well. And then use as many twist types as needed. We have plenty of those. We have to be creative also what to do with those. Maybe some in our installation you will see next time, Mary Jane, that you invite us with those. There are so many. But for now, we use it just to hold our pieces around the tin can or the cardboard pen holder, and make sure it's strong enough to keep the piece glued for a day, or maybe just a couple of hours. You will see as soon as the pieces just get together, and just with a simple glue. Don't use the gun one. That's also has a lot of toxins that I prefer not to use. That glue gun that releases a lot of things, and we don't even know what it's made of. So try to avoid that and use just a simple glue. And it's just the pressure pretty much is the secret here to keep it all around. And well, that's pretty much in a nutshell. Please do share your final artwork and let me know if you have any questions. I hope you enjoy the session and are ready to continue upcycling at home and at the school and at the office, and reducing the amount of waste that is generated every day here. And remember, creativity is contagious. Pass it on, and each of us can make a difference. Together, we make change, and that is why we're all here. Please connect with us. Also take a look at our website for more resources, including our friends from the WWF. Food Warriors has a lot of resources for everyone, especially for the schools. It has many creative ideas to get you and your classroom inspired to make a change in this beautiful world. Thank you so much for listening and for being with us today.
Wow, thank you, Elizabeth. That was so great. I really love the final products that come from this, and really wonderful presentation. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. I don't know if you have any questions.
One question is to just reconfirm the amount of time that you suggest providing for students or for educators to give, or for anyone who's looking to share this creative upcycling project. How long would you recommend to put that together?
Yeah, very good question, especially when you're working with little ones. Their attention span is is very small. So try to have a lot of things prepared ahead of time. I recommend like the materials, have the students collect some of these materials, like the tin cans, the cardboard tubes, so they feel more empowered that this is actually me. I actually collect everything from scratch, provide the twist ties as well, and all the materials. So it will last, I will say, 45 minutes usually, bringing all the materials, having ready, and just waiting. You can accelerate the process of gluing and the paint if you have a hair dryer blower. So that's will make your work faster and easier as well. But yeah, I guess it also depends of how much time each student dedicates to decorate everything, and the paint, and it's more it's more up to the little ones, I will say, because some kids are very like dedicated, like just do all the details, all the dots, the eyes, the contrast, and some of them get I remember one of the classrooms that they said, "Oh, can I keep the palette? You know, the cardboard palette gets with all those mixes of colors. It's like a Picasso." I said, "Yeah, of course, get that as well. That's part of your art project." So
Mhm.
yeah, no, it's up to them, but usually it's 45 minutes, and try to have also a little bit of introductory video and just small talk of 5 minutes, 10 minutes or less, and then hands-on learning. And then after, just the cleanup as well of the activity. But I will say 45 minutes usually is what we do for an activity like this, like an upcycling tin can of cardboard.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that was a great overview, especially to think about preparation ahead of time, how to talk to them throughout, and then also for cleanup. So thank you. Been monitoring the chat, and I don't see any other questions at the moment. I did post a few links to the Ciclomanias website where you are able to find more examples of all of the art projects that they're working on, as well as information that they've done around vermicomposting and
Mhm.
other projects. As well as the link to their YouTube channel where you can find those videos of how to lead your own art project with students, and then also a way to engage with them. So with that, if there's no other questions, we will post this on the Food Waste Prevention Week YouTube channel so you're able to review it. Um, and we hope that you've enjoyed. And thank you so much again, Elizabeth, for the presentation today. We look forward to sharing this more widespread and having the chance to for continuous watch of the of your video today. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you
you for the
everyone. Have a great rest
invitation.
of your day.
Bye bye.